On this week's show, we talk about Peloton's Output Park.
And rumors of a new product and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 40 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm John Pruitt, joined as always by my co-host Amanda Siegel. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, John. How are you?
Long time.
It has. I said I was having Pelo Buddy TV withdrawals. I'm telling you, I missed not recording last week, but we gave everybody, I guess, a nice break.
Yeah, a little holiday weekend break. How was your Memorial Day weekend?
It was rainy and wet. We were scheduled to go up to New York and decided to pass since it was so rainy. So we actually stayed in. We stayed in, and I did some amazing rides and stacks, and I kept myself busy, and it was good. It was good, meaningful. It was good and meaningful. And how about you? I know you were away as well.
Yeah, we went to visit some friends, my wife's best friend and her family in Indiana, and they moved recently, so they have a pool in their backyard now. So we hung out and just took it easy. They have a Peloton bike, which is a prerequisite whenever Jackie and I travel somewhere, whether it's a hotel or a friend's house. So I got my workouts all in. Jackie, she had some rest days that weekend, but I managed to work out every day and I was the only one using the bike.
Well, at least someone was using it, right? That's awesome. And
you should have seen the car.
Anything.
You should have seen the car, though, because I'm very critical of them. They don't have a fan with a remote, so I actually brought one of my fans with the remote. I brought 2 sets of Peloton weights, the mat, because I did Friday morning boot camp with Cody, so I had to have all my essentials with me.
That is too funny. That is too funny. I mean, that is the epitome of a Peloton holic.
I know. I even brought my fan.
Right. I mean, seriously, the epitome of a Peloton holic. Well, good for you. Good for you. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get any workouts in on the weekend. So I was pleased that I was able to. Which led me, with being able to work out, it led me to a official milestone this past week, John.
Official.
I made 1,500 rides on Wednesday. So yeah, that was awesome. It got me.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It is official because we go from 1,000 to 1,500 on the badges, and then next is 2,000.
There you go.
So I tease about it. I tease about how I was made fun of my 50s, and no one's ever taking that away from any of us. So you guys watching, just know my motto is every ride's a milestone. But it was fun to have that red badge pop up at the end of my ride, and you know what, John? It just put it all into perspective for me, I think. It just made this whole community and everything we do just into perspective, and how amazing this community truly is. So that was fun. It was fun to get to celebrate, and it grounded me a little bit. I think I took a step back on Wednesday and just honestly felt such an immense amount of pride in accomplishing what I've accomplished as a 50-year-old woman, well, now almost 52-year-old woman, and just gratitude for the friendships that I've made, whether it be with you and our team here at Pelo Buddy TV, and with the community at large, and it put it all in perspective. So that's my philosophical preach for the show. Now we'll move on. We will move. But you know what? I am so grateful, and I think everybody that watches the show gets the sense of community. And I think what we've brought to the show is that sense of community, and that sense of inclusiveness, and making everything that we share with you guys on the show fun, whether it be stuff that we're reporting on or stuff that you and I have done within the community. It's just fun. And so it's,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, folks, before we get started with the news, we do always like to remind you how you can keep up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is released on our YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the video and hit the notify button so that you never miss an episode.
Yep. And if you also prefer to listen to us in traditional podcast format, we're available on all podcast platforms. Just search Pelo Buddy TV. Make sure you hit subscribe, click notifications so you never miss an episode or an update. And also, we love to hear your feedback. If you have a review for us, we'd love to know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, any suggestions to improve the show. We love to hear from the viewers and the listeners.
And of course, guys, finally, we are on Facebook and Instagram. At this point, I know that all of you have followed us there. It's just amazing. And we're looking forward to hitting almost 50,000 followers on Instagram. So clearly, you guys like to be kept up to date with what's going on in the Peloton world. And you know that we are first. What's your saying, John? I say it every week because I forget it.
HIHF, heard it here first.
That's it. So again, don't forget to follow us on all of those platforms for the latest news. And I guess now let's get on with the show.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
Well, folks, we're going to kick off with probably the biggest news over the last 2 weeks, the announcement of Peloton's Output Park, the first US-based Peloton factory. Output Park, which will be located in Troy Township, Wood County, Ohio, will have more than 1 million feet of manufacturing space. And it's expected to add over 2,000 jobs in the area. Interestingly enough, Georgia and North Carolina were also in the running for the space, but it seems like Ohio were the lucky ones, and they got to actually be the selected area as to where this new Output Park was going to be located. The facility is not scheduled to open until sometime in 2023, but it is our understanding that they are going to break ground as soon as July or August of this year. Certainly something rather amazing for everybody to look forward to. The factory is going to sit on 200 acres and have not only the facility to make and produce the products, but also have office space, the manufacturing, as I mentioned, and amenities. From what we understand, they will be producing the Bike Plus, and the Tread there, but the park will be more than just a factory. The intention is actually for there to be tons of office space for folks to work exactly from there. And it will include a fitness center, which is going to obviously have the latest connected fitness equipment. It'll have a team lounge for staff to collaborate, hang out in, and socialize. And probably what the nicest and most fun part about the new Output Park is that it will be open to the community, and it will offer tours of the facility. So, John, I guess you and I will be doing a road trip to Ohio in a couple years.
Yeah, it's not that far from Michigan, so
all right.
That's a hop, skip, and a jump from me.
Well, I am in. You know me. I'm never afraid of travel. So we will definitely have to do maybe a community Pelo Buddy tour of Output Park, right? Probably one of the most positive things for Peloton, though, was that the county commissioner actually just approved a 100% 15-year tax break. So that's definitely kind of sweet for Peloton to have as well, kind of in their back pocket. So this, I think, is going to be huge, and something we'll watch closely over the next year and a half as they, get into production and start building and see how it comes out. But a wonderful opportunity for Ohio, for the folks of Ohio, and certainly bringing it local and bringing it in-house and not having to deal with what we've had to deal with over the past, 18 months in shipping and everything else that, put delays on product and product availability. Next up, could there finally be a Peloton strength device? We speak about this frequently on the show, but there have been reports that a new Peloton product called Tiger is being tested. The New York Post had an anonymous source that told them that Peloton have been quality testing a new device. Supposedly, guys, it's a handheld gadget that could be attached to a TV or a computer. It would provide members with instant feedback on their workouts. So the equipment is alleged to provide customers with information about their form and movement. This could also tie into the acquisition of the Otari Studio team that we reported on that Peloton acquired last year. And it certainly coincides with the hints that John Foley gave about Peloton competing in the area of strength. It also may be worth mentioning, though, that there is no indication as to what this Tiger device would apply to. So it may just provide feedback on one's running or cycling form, but our suspicion would be that it would possibly tie into the strength classes, John, that's already on the platform. You know, I guess we just love to speculate, and Peloton love to keep us guessing. So we'll just have to wait and see where this one goes. But a side note for those of you that are still holding out for the Peloton rower, Tony Sinkinson, they are reportedly still actively working on a rowing machine as well. So I'm curious to see what this little gadget's going to be. No, John?
Yeah, I wonder if it'll tie into checking your form maybe for a boxing class.
Of course. I mean, it
just
could absolutely. Just a hunch.
After all, this is New York Post, so is this page 6 reporting this news? I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. But.
Right. And I love the anonymous tip. You know, who's this anonymous tip that they're getting it from? But you know, look, we've been right on some of the other keywords that they've used in the past, and I forget what they were right now. But they had one for the tread, and they certainly have one for the rower, and of course, it's completely escaping my mind right now what they were called.
Code names.
The code names, the code names that kind of. If you got into the backside of Peloton, data, you'd be able to see that. But that Prism, that's right. Yeah. So control room's giving me that, so that's good. Yeah. So I guess we'll kind of wait, wait and see what happens there. And then hot off the press news is that Peloton announced on Thursday that they will actually be rolling out a discounted price on membership for the digital app subscriptions. And this will be for students, first responders, military personnel, educators, and medical workers. The price of the app subscription as of now is $12.99. It's believed that university and college students, and in fact it was published on the Peloton website on Thursday, that university and college students would be able to get the subscription for $6.99 a month, while the first responders, military, educators, and medical workers would pay $9.99. At the time, you have to be able to prove when you're looking at, to get the discount, you would have to prove that in fact you are one of those mediums, whether you're a student or a medical professional or whatever. So you would have to prove, and it would only be while you are doing that particular job. It is only applicable to folks in the US though. So for those folks that aren't in the US, unfortunately, it's not an option, but for those that are in the US, it is. Now, I think this is great for folks that don't have access to someone who owns a bike or a tread. John, it's always baffled me, though, about the digital membership. Because if someone does own a bike or tread, they're able to open separate accounts under their monthly subscription for numerous others free of charge. So I've never understood that concept. I mean, I get that the digital subscription is great, for somebody that's just out there and perhaps doesn't know somebody. But I know that for myself, I have all my kids under my subscription. I have my parents under my subscription, and they don't pay anything. I pay my $39.99 a month. And so do you have any insight into, I think there's lost revenue for Peloton there. I mean, why would they allow, and I don't think it's unlimited. I don't know how many profiles you can have on your subscription. Do you?
They say it's capped at 10 or 12. I've never actually been able to confirm that or actually seen fine print from Peloton. But you would think that. Yeah, I don't know what they're, obviously they don't advertise, oh, you can create separate blog for your friends and family. They're not going to put that out there, but yeah, it's something you can easily do for a friend rather than having them pay for just a digital subscription. But yeah, I guess it's
and
not,
I will say, part of what came out of this that I had seen was that they have said that the subscriptions have risen significantly and have converted into folks then going out to buy the hardware, which is what their goal ultimately is. So I guess even if somebody is under a friend or a family's, subscription, they are then able to go out if they want to go and buy their own bike. They do need to have their own subscription at that point. And they did mention that there has been significant conversion of folks that originally started on the digital app and then went out and bought their own bike or tread, etc. But I've always
To me, it sounds like the digital subscription is a very small slice of their revenue. It seems like they're more focused on the full monthly subscription that you would pay with the tread or the bike.
Right. But again, I mean,
My
if
2
you
cents.
and again, if you didn't have 2 bikes, I know we've had this discussion before, but you and Jackie are on one subscription. Mark and I are on one subscription, and you can interchange the tread and the bike, so you don't have to have.
Oh, we have 2. No, we
I know
pay 2
you
full.
do.
Yeah.
I know you do, but that's because you have 2 bikes and you both want to be able to, utilize your bikes at the same time.
Yeah.
Correct. But I know, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a second bike down in Florida, and I pay one subscription, and I just switch out.
That works nice for you.
Yeah. I just
So
switch
do
out
you have
between the
to?
two.
When you're in Florida, do you get the activation? Screen prompt. Oh, so you have to do that every time.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. But nobody's using the one when the other one isn't being used. Do you know what I'm saying? So it works for me.
So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
For the $40 a month, it's worth saving it. So definitely has worked for me. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. But good for those folks, and I'm happy that it gives college students and certainly those out there the opportunity to be able to jump on the digital platform and get what they need. So I think that's awesome. And then also to mention for those folks that have not jumped on the Memorial Day sale, that bandwagon, that the sale is still going on with tons of apparel on the website still available. I'm not 100% sure about sizing. I did go ahead and take a look, and there was still tons of articles of clothing that were on there in sizes that I had looked up. So for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to take a look, there's still a ton of stuff that's on sale. It almost wants to put a dagger in my chest when I look to see what things are now priced at after I've paid full price for everything. But I could never take the risk of waiting and not being able to get what I wanted. If I see something on there,
that's a roll.
I want to get
that's
it.
That's a roll
right?
of the dice.
Exactly.
Especially on the women's end where everything sells out so quick.
For sure. Sorry, John, and one last thing. Of course, the refurbished bikes were on sale over Memorial Day weekend as well. So if folks wanted to go ahead and jump on the bandwagon on that platform too, they could certainly pick up the hardware. And finally, folks were able to get refurbished bikes. So there were tons. Nice. Tons that folks were able to do.
So we have some new class artists, class theme recently announced. So we have a whole set of different Pride classes. This is Pride Month, so happy Pride that just started this past week. We've got a run with Maddie Majacomo, Leanne's Pride 80s ride, which we were both on, which was a great one. A Pride yoga reset with Dennis, and also a yoga flow with Ross Rayburn, and a 60-minute Pride Bootcamp with Jess Sims yesterday, Saturday, the 5th. And then also this morning, Sunday, a 30-minute Pride Bootcamp with Andy Spear. So Peloton is also teasing some artist series as well. They stated, we're highlighting the power of creativity of Pride with themed workouts, music moments featuring icons and rising stars within the LGBTQ community. So keep an eye out on the live schedule. And it also coincides with a Pride apparel collection drop. There were 14 items that recently became available on the apparel website, and they're available in all countries. So I had put, I think, the hoodie in my cart and maybe one other thing, but I haven't bought anything yet. What about you, Amanda?
I did. So I actually did. So my 1500th ride was on Leanne's Pride ride, which was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. She is just killing it. The songs that she is using is just amazing. And it was an amazing, amazing ride. She looked phenomenal. And I was so bummed because I did get one of the apparel sets and I was dying to wear it. I mean, girl, first world problems, right? I was dying to wear it on the ride. And the ride was at 12:30 on Wednesday, and my mail typically comes around 2. And honestly, John, I just finished the ride. I had just finished my cool down, and the mail truck passed by, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So maybe what I really wanted to do Maddie's run. He looked amazing, and I
know with the rainbow. I caught, as usual. I never work out at night. His run was at 7:30 at night this past week, but I caught the Insta Live afterwards, and his face was so bright with all these painted rainbow stripes over half of his face and on his hair. I almost thought he had an Insta filter.
So, John, interestingly enough,
Insta filter.
He just showed, go onto his IG Live, and his IG.
The process.
They showed the process. Wasn't that so amazing?
Him painting it, yeah.
Yeah.
He really puts the time and effort in on the whole getup, with his marathon costumes that he did, for Christmas and Halloween.
I really want to do that run. I really, really want to do that run. So that's something definitely bookmarked because firstly, I think as you say, he put so much effort. He put so much effort into it. So being able to actually do it was amazing. And I have to say, Leanne looked gorgeous on her, because she did the Pride and she wore one of the Pride apparels and she had glitter and she's just beautiful. So girl crushing, and she looked wonderful. So yeah, that was awesome. I'm curious to see who the artists are that they're going to bring out this month from the community.
It's funny you mentioned wearing your apparel. The only Peloton apparel I wear when I work out is the shorts with the compression liner because I don't want to ruin the nice shirts and get them all pitted. It's just I wear crappy old Lululemon shirts when I work out. It's just funny. I just like the shorts because everything else I want to keep nice.
John, it's all about the Insta pics. I mean, after I've written and you're posting, you got to look Peloton appropriate.
Yeah. You like to post the videos of yourself, pictures. I shy away from the selfies.
Yeah,
I'd rather just post a clip of the moment, from the class.
Well, clearly what you're doing is working and what I'm doing is not, because you're the one that now has over 10,000 followers and still haven't gotten past 2,000. So
you got to
maybe I need to change.
You got to expand. You got to get on
thing, right?
You got to get on TikTok too. I'm all about TikTok now.
I'm too old, John. I'm too old. Moving on.
So we've got a new Broadway series this past week that debuted for the Broadway musical Rent. And Jess King just had a run recently, a 30-minute Rent run. So Peloton is collaborating with Rent to celebrate the 25th anniversary. So the musical debuted on Broadway back all the way the year I graduated from high school, back in January of 1996. So in celebration of that anniversary, we have a bunch of different Rent-themed workouts with the music from Rent. So there was just recently a run, like I said, with Jess, 30-minute run on the tread, yoga flow with Ross Rayburn, a ride, 45-minute ride with Christine. That also happened, and an outdoor run that was made available on demand with Maddie Majacomo. So yeah, there was a run with him. It wasn't in my head. And then also a full body strength with Maddie as well, which dropped on demand. Wasn't live because the strength studio is closed for the next couple of weeks as they revamp it. So if you are into Rent, I saw that musical Rent when I first started taking Jackie. She surprised me with tickets to see it on Broadway. Not one of my favorites.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Not super into that. I remember 1997, my mom got the CD and she was just playing it all the time, and it would just drive me crazy hearing that in the car. So yeah, not one of my favorites, but I know people have.
I love it.
There's a lot of love for it.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the music. I haven't had a chance. I wanted to take Christine's ride. I haven't had a chance. It's also bookmarked to be done. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But for me, the significance of the anniversary is that's the year my kids were born. So my twins were born in 1996. And they'll be 25 this year. So it does. I remember it coming out, and I remember being pregnant and just, dying to go to Broadway to get to see it. And of course, I had this, massive big belly, and I wasn't going anywhere. And then got to see it a couple years later on Broadway. And it was a fabulous show. It was a fabulous show. So yeah, that's awesome.
I just remember. Did you watch Sopranos when it was on HBO?
Yeah.
I just remember that scene when Christopher and Adriana are in the city and they're standing in front of a pizza joint, and she's just taking him to see Rent, the Broadway show, and he goes, "What the is this musical? A bunch of people living in an abandoned house complaining about not having any heat." Christopher wasn't into it.
I don't remember. Yeah, you have such a good memory. How you remember these things. But,
this is like so many like funny random Sopranos moments. But if there was I'm waiting for the Les Mis, the Phantom of the Opera, the Miss Saigon. Those are like my top 3 favorite musicals of all time.
Funny enough, Miss Saigon was not one of my favorite, but Les Mis is absolutely one of my favorite Broadway shows. So I'm looking really forward to that. I mean, the music is phenomenal. So I'm looking really forward to that coming out.
Yeah, I kid Christine. She did a ride, a different, maybe it was a different Broadway ride where she had.
It was I did it. Yeah, it was like kind of a cumulative difference from different shows that she did.
Yeah, and I kidded her and I said, "Oh, why didn't you throw some Phantom in there?" And I guess she did originally have some in there. We might have even mentioned it, and DJ John Michael steered her in a different direction, so she took out her selection from Phantom. Anyways, just so you know, watching at home or listening, there are a number of different Broadway-themed Peloton workouts on the platform that aren't also not a part of like a Broadway series, but there's nearly 50 Broadway different classes on the platform, full list on the Pelo Buddy website, so be sure to check that out. There's also a Broadway fans of Peloton Facebook page. There's a lot of different groups just dedicated Peloton fans of Broadway. So if that's your thing, we have a group for everyone. So that's a great thing about the community. And also, thanks to the control room, Amanda, we also now have a 2021 Broadway badge. So if you complete any of the Rent workouts, you'll get a special Broadway badge upon completion of that class.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So also some new mood classes that Peloton just recently announced their Mood series. So it's a special set of classes with the workout musical theme designed to fit whatever mood that you're in. So these were all released on demand. They weren't, none of them were live. But Peloton has stated, however you're feeling when you arrive at your workout, these special classes will give you the freedom and space to sit with your emotions, move through them, or come out on the other side in a different state of mind. They'll be a little different from our typical classes because the focus is not about the metrics or the competition. It'll be about the playlist as a means to address your intention of being there in that moment. So there's a happy, a sad, a calm, and a heated, I guess like an angry type of mood class. So there's
a confident. There is a Leanne Confidence mood class
sad.
too.
Oh, did I miss confident? God, I miss confident. So confident. I know Jess King did the heated class. Leanne, like you said, did the confident. Cody did the happy one. I know I've heard really good things about Emma Love. I haven't done any of them yet, but I know Emma Lovewell did the sad one, which I've heard really good things about. And she also opened up in a pretty emotional moment, mentioning how her boyfriend 10 years ago had died suddenly. So I've been meaning to definitely take that one because I've really been enjoying working out with Emma lately. But those sound really interesting.
Yeah, wow, awesome.
So there's a Bike Bootcamp Flash Challenge. So they're launching Peloton's launching a new challenge designed to promote their Strive score. So that was a new feature that was integrated when you work out with a heart monitor. So it's got a little number that's all heart rate based. So it's called Bike Bootcamp Strive Score and awards a badge if you take 4 bike boot camps over the next 2 weeks. So from May 30th to June 12th. So the Bike Bootcamp Strive Score Challenge is all about the journey to bring your strongest self. Now, here's the thing. Peloton says that a heart rate monitor is not required to participate in the challenge. So it kind of feels like, even though, obviously, if you don't have a heart rate monitor, you're not going to get your Strive score, but
Right.
it seems like you'll still based on that, you'll be awarded the badge, regardless if you're using your heart rate monitor with the Strive score or not. So yeah, any 4 bike boot camps in the next 2 weeks, from the 30th of May to June 12th.
Awesome. Well, I won't be getting one of those badges. I know you will, but I won't.
I do. I do about 1 or 2 bike boot camps. I think I might get that. Hopefully.
Just not in my repertoire of things that I do. But that's okay. Can't do everything. I'm starting to recognize.
Yeah, if Leanne did Bike Bootcamp, you'd be all over that.
I'd be doing it.
Yeah.
Talking about Leanne and talking about the artist series and what Peloton had said about bringing in folks from the LGBT community, Leanne did actually get herself an artist series right to curate this month. And just this past Thursday, she hosted a ride with Years and Years, the artist. So I don't know I did not know who Years and Years the band was, but apparently Ollie Years is very popular in the UK community and in the UK. Ollie appeared on the UK mini-series drama, which was called It's a Sin as well. Had not known about it until Leanne did her Pride ride on Wednesday and picked music from the show, and her Pride ride was based around the show It's a Sin. The show was created by a gentleman called Russell T. Davis, and it was actually inspired by Jill Adler's and her memories of friends in the 80s who had contracted the HIV virus and would then just disappear. So there would be people in her life that would be there, and then all of a sudden they would disappear, and then later to find out that they had passed away, from AIDS. Ollie said that he knew that he was destined to be famous, and clearly he has done a wonderful job in achieving this success. He was recently named Celebrity of the Year at the British LGBT Awards. He's in the midst of working on the band's 3rd album. So Years for Years for right now just has 2 albums out. And he stated in an article in theguardian.com that he had the songs all done and dusted before the pandemic. And yes, that was his words from the article. So clearly we can see why Leanne got to be the instructor to curate the artist series, because he used the words done and dusted. But after being stuck, he says, in his flat, he realized that he didn't like any of the music and actually decided to start all over again. So he says that his 3rd album is almost ready. And clearly after Leanne mentioned on her Pride ride on Wednesday that she would be doing this artist series, and I felt so bad for her because she had actually teased on Tuesday's rides that she had a surprise for us. Wednesday, she was going to announce it, and Peloton released it an hour before she had her live ride. And I think she was bummed. I think she really wanted to be the one to spill the beans. And it came out like an hour before they beat her to the punch. So you could kind of see that, like, but she was like all upbeat and said, I don't know if so, you guys have seen, but this is what I'm doing. So she clearly was an absolute fan of the show, It's a Sin, which Ali Years had appeared in. And of course, his music is just amazing. So after she had mentioned it on the ride, and I wasn't familiar with it, I downloaded his 2 albums and listened to the music so that when I did do the ride, I would be familiar with the music, and the music's fantastic. So interestingly enough, I was actually surprised that I knew a few songs. One of his songs, Kings, is amazing, and I was familiar with that song. So it's nice, as we've said time and time again, each time we talk about artists that we hadn't heard about, that it is so wonderful that Peloton do give these folks the platform to showcase themselves. And this was one that I'm sure tons of Americans were not familiar of, or familiar with years and years.
Yeah.
So if you haven't jumped on the ride, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it on Thursday, but it will definitely be done on demand. And I'm sure it's going to be fantastic because, again, if it's something that she's passionate about, she just shines. And I'm sure she shone in that ride. So I'm looking really forward to doing that one.
Nice. Well, we have some Robin Arzon news. Well, while Robin's still on maternity leave with her baby daughter, Athena, it's looking like she's going to be publishing a new book called Strong Mama. And it's a short storybook. It's said to be a celebration of mothers and parents everywhere. And according to the publisher's page, it'll be 32 pages long and it'll be released January 11th of 2022. And Robin states she wrote it while she was pregnant with Athena. It's my love letter to her, my little training partner about the journey we took on together as a team and growing her in my belly and preparing for the most epic endurance event ever, childbirth. So Robin went on to say she thinks it's important to show kids from a young age that movement is medicine, self-care is not selfish, and endorphins are its own form of magic. And Robin, she's previously published. She has previously a book called Shut Up and Run, How to Get Up, Lace Up, and Sweat with Swagger, which came out in 2016. So we'll keep an eye out for that. And it's looking like, I think Robin's going to be coming back hopefully next month. I think she said she was going to be returning sometime in July from maternity leave. So that's not too far away.
Yeah. When did she have the baby? I was trying to actually remember that. When did she have the baby? Was it last year or was it this year?
No, I think it was January.
Was it January?
I want to say.
I think
March.
March. Okay, March to April, May, June. So control room's telling us beginning of March and end of February. That makes sense because I just felt like she had such an extended maternity leave. And I was going to say, if I was in my 30s or 40s or whenever people are having babies at this time, at this stage of their lives, I want to go work at Peloton if you get that much of, that big maternity leave, which is amazing. But okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. But good for her. And the book looks fabulous. I'm looking really forward to it coming out and seeing the vibe, the movement on that, because that people are going to be all over it just because it's her. So that's exciting.
For sure. In other instructor news, so Jess Sims now has an agent, and she's become the new host of the WNBA team, the New York Liberty in Brooklyn. They play out of Brooklyn. The professional women's basketball team. So over the last several months, you might have seen that several Peloton instructors have signed with talent management agencies, Olivia, Kendall, Tunde, and Emma. And this past week, Jess made public that she signed with Excel Sports Management, a full-service management marketing agency that represents all sorts of big athletes, talents, and brands, including Tiger Woods, Kevin Love, Jason Hayward, Justin Rose, and many more. And then she, with that announcement, she also announced that she'll serve as the in-arena host for the New York Liberty, the WNBA team, which is now in its 25th season. they begin their season early May and runs through September. So this is obviously not the first in-hosting gig for a Peloton instructor. Allie Love has been the in-arena host quite a while for the Brooklyn Nets for quite some time. So it'll be fun to see them bumping into each other, because I think they're working out of the same arena. They both play at the same venue in Brooklyn. And I did see recently on Insta a bunch of the instructors, including Jess Sims and Allie. They were at the Nets game, and I think the Liberty game too, up in a box there in the stands, having a good time. So yeah, it'll be fun to see Jess doing her side gig there, hosting the team, and seeing what sort of, humor that she brings to that job that obviously she has so much fun doing, on the floor and on the tread.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
And I almost forgot to mention, Jess has a Pride. I think I forgot. She's got a 16-minute Pride Bootcamp yesterday that she did. So be sure to check that one out if you did not take it live, because she's now back with her Saturday 60s, which I know a lot of folks were really anxious to have her back teaching after her little hiatus, little break.
I know Jackie was. So so she can get back to doing that on Saturdays, Jackie included. Yeah. Well, not to leave some of the tread instructors out in some of the news, Becs was featured once again on the podcast Alley on the Run. With June 2nd being Global Running Day, the podcast actually came out at just about the right time. It was just a little bit before that. But Becs does talk about her impressive title that she added to her resume as competitor, as we all know, in the Olympic marathon trials in London, where we had reported previously on the show that she made an exceptional time, right, of 2 hours and 32 minutes. Becs does talk about the dark days and the tough runs and how she got through them. She shares her own struggles with confidence both on and off the road and the treadmill. Plus, she talks about privacy and why she didn't tell her parents she was auditioning to be a Peloton instructor, and why she didn't tell people she was training for the trials until shortly before the race day. Finally, Beck also talks about how she learned to deal with the pressure of racing, and whether it's an unplanned 5K that she did once and says she'll never do again, or an ultra marathon of which we know she's done several. It's a wonderful podcast. And she's just, John, she's so lovely to listen to. So for folks, definitely head over to pelobuddy.com and to the website and find the link on there and take a listen, because she's just so authentic and sincere, and the podcast was wonderful. And while I'm not a runner, I do just admire her tenacity and how brilliant she is on the tread as well as on the road. So I was completely, in awe of what she did with the Olympic trials. So she's impressive to listen to. And lastly, for me, Peloton recently became one of LISC New York City and the nonprofit WHED's newest funding partners in placing Peloton workout equipment in affordable housing areas in the Bronx, in which they're looking to promote the health and well-being of folks. So they had mentioned back when they did their pledge, their $100,000 pledge, that they were going to be doing like this and stuff like this, and this was just announced. So always doing something good for the communities out there, which is just amazing.
That's great. Well, in other little instructor tidbits, as we get close to wrapping things up, congratulations to strength and tread instructor Selena Samuela. She recently just got engaged to her longtime boyfriend, Matt. He's a tech CEO. And it was a really sweet proposal because she's a golfer and they go golfing a lot. And he proposed to her on the golf course just after she had teed off. And she turned around and he was, there was a couple people videoing from a couple different angles. And so he was already dropped to his knee when she turned back around to walk back. And there he was, popping the question. It was a super sweet moment. If you didn't happen to see it, it's on her Instagram. But I just did a 30-minute boot camp with her, which I think is one of my picks of the week. But she got that rock right on there now. It's a beaut.
I'm telling you, between her and Ali Love, the two of them have massive engagement rings, which is gorgeous.
Yeah. So congrats to her. That's great. I'm a big fan of Selena since I got the tread. So I love her boot camps and her runs especially.
She is fierce. She's fierce.
And she's fun. I like her on social when she goes live. She's one of the instructors I like to tune in for when they interact with their members on their Insta lives. And also, just this past weekend, over Memorial Day weekend, Jess King had her birthday. So happy birthday to Jess. It looks like she had fun celebrating with a bunch of different Peloton instructors, but it was really funny. The picture that she posted, which the other instructors basically posted the same one, Rebecca Kennedy included, it was weird. They were like all in a pool, but it looked almost Photoshopped. So I was totally confused. I was totally confused because it looked like one person that was on an inner tube was Photoshopped. So I was just baffled as to, because I was like, is this Photoshopped? I'm totally confused. And Rebecca just liked my comment. She didn't respond.
Comment.
Yeah. So I don't know what tomfoolery they were doing with that picture, if they just added in some, but looked like she had a good time celebrating her birthday. If all those folks were with her, I mean, awesome. Great for Jess. And then the Ride to Greatness, which was a practice ride with Alex Toussaint as a part of that competition over Memorial Day weekend, was canceled and postponed to this past weekend. Alex had stated he was getting his wisdom teeth pulled and had to recover. I know Cody got some wisdom, his upper wisdom teeth removed, and then he just taught a few hours later. So I don't know what was wrong with Alex, but he needed to recover. Alex is a little soft. And Cody was like walking. I don't think Cody was walking from the dentist, to the studio right after he got his upper wisdom teeth pulled.
Funny.
Anyway, yeah. So it was a practice run. So that one just got pushed back a week. So for anyone, I'm Team Activate. Validate right now is in the lead, 2 games to 2-1. Whatever, 2 games. So that one got pushed back. So I know I missed the last one that Validate had won. It was over Jackson's birthday weekend. Jackie wouldn't let me ride. Right. So I had to miss and Activate ended up losing by 2 points to Team
It had
Validate,
to be because of you. I mean, you just know that it had to be because of you. I mean, come on.
I mean, I could have helped.
You could have helped.
I digress.
You could have helped. Well, I know, folks, that I guess that's it, right, John, for the news?
Yeah, that wraps it up.
Yeah, that does wrap it up. So we tried not to overwhelm you with too much. I know a lot happened in the last 2 weeks, and we had such wonderful feedback from the interview we did with Daisy Mack. So we are definitely going to be bringing back more of those. John and I will be communicating with members in the community to get them on the show, because I think that most of you loved it, and the feedback was amazing. The amount of activity we had on the live when it actually went out on Sunday, that Sunday morning, was amazing. And I promised that I wouldn't use the word amazing in today's broadcast. I literally put it out there, and I know that I've said it at least 10 times already. So I apologize. My adjectives have to be broadened. We have to change this. But with that being said, we are not going to have a Pelo chat this week, but we will definitely be bringing them back to you more regularly, because I know that folks loved it. So thanks again to Monica for bringing back the Pelo chat for us and getting on there. And I know that folks were inspired and moved by her story. So really appreciate her taking the time to do that. And I guess, John, picks of the week is up next, right? And I am going to get
You want to take it away?
I am going to let you take it away, because I am unprepared.
Okay. All right. Well, there was a lot that I really loved with my workouts this past week. So I'm going to start off with Memorial Day weekend when we were visiting out of town, visiting friends, and I was riding on their bike. So Tune Day's 45-minute pop from Saturday, May 29th. Just a great ride. I love that all the instructors are playing a lot of AC/DC now. I'm hearing so much AC/DC in classes, and I love it. Whether it's Back in Black or Shook Me All Night Long. I always see AC/DC sprinkled in there now that they can play it on the Peloton platform. But great pop playlist: Demi Lovato, Drake, Post Malone, AC/DC. Probably the biggest highlight, my class pick of the week, is going to be Cody's 30-minute XOXO Cody ride from June 1st. And this one is probably one of the funniest XO Cody rides in the whole series, which I'll only describe the theme as, Cody's theme was, you did not survive a pandemic to do this or to not do this. So throughout the ride and during the QA portion, when he puts on sunglasses and he reads some of the questions that were submitted to him prior, at one point he said, did not survive a pandemic to fake an orgasm. And then
only Cody.
Yeah, and then there was a question about, is there a question of being too kinky, and you did not survive a pandemic not to make out with a girl or a boy, you just have to do the ride. It was so much fun, and a great, Cody playlist. But a super, it's been a while since he did the last one. So it's just another great installment of this XOXO series, which I love. So 30-minute ride will fly by. And then Jen Sherman had, there's a lot of great 80s classes this past week, I must say, between Leanne's and Jen's and some of the other ones. Jen Sherman had, and I love the 45-minute workouts. I don't feel like they put enough in the schedule now, with the pandemic schedule. They seem to focus on shorter classes. But Jen had a great 45-minute 80s ride from June 1st. It just felt like one of her old Tuesday 45-minute rides. She used to always teach every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with a 45-minute ride, and then she would do like a 30-minute one just shortly thereafter that morning. But this one was great. Billy Joel, REO Speedwagon, Poison, Phil Collins, AC/DC was in there again, Squeeze, and Steve Winwood. So just a real great 80s party playlist. And then on the tread side, a 30-minute run, 90s dance run with Rebecca Kennedy. Just a super fun class with her, Cher, J-Lo, Madonna, Jamiroquai. And that was from June 2nd. And then a 30-minute body weight boot camp with Selena, Samuela from Thursday, June 3rd. And just, you think body weight and you think it's not going to be that tough. You're not using weights, but this one was still super hard. And Jackie had come down to start working out on the bike, and she saw me like dying in a plank position, making fun of me that I couldn't hold a plank for 1 minute. Apparently that's easy to her. But another good mix of songs, AC/DC in there as well, Joan Jett, Arctic Monkeys. So June 3rd with Selena on the tread boot camp. So those are, I had a bunch, so I had to kind of whittle them down. But
well, I'm glad you had a bunch.
There's some good ones. Yeah.
Because unfortunately this week, there's been tons going on. My youngest is graduating high school this week, so I did not have the opportunity to ride much. It's just been crazy in the Siegel household. So I will say though, and it's hard because most of my rides I do with Leanne, and I do like to diversify and be able to give you guys different options, not just Leanne's rides. But her 80s Pride ride was amazing, and that was my pick of the week as far as my rides go. I absolutely loved the music. As I said, she picked music from this show, It's a Sin, and the music was different. There was some stuff there that we knew too, but it was really, the mood was amazing. There I go again. Wonderful. The mood was wonderful, and
it was a vibe.
I encourage
it was a vibe.
you. There were bangers on there, but I encourage you,
Love
if you
this
haven't
track.
done it. And if not for anything else, you get to hear my shout out. So folks, you got to jump on Leanne's 80s Rides from Wednesday, the 2nd, and do that one. And then
I thought she had missed your shout out, and I don't know when she said it at what point in the ride, but I was thinking to myself, man, Amanda's going to be so pissed after this ride.
Oh, honey, she wouldn't dare to miss it. I know, but it's funny that you actually said that, because she did. She went down and then she went back up again.
Okay.
So
I totally missed it.
And it's funny because I don't like when she groups me in. And one of my kids said, Mom, I think she grouped you in. I'm like, no. I got my own shout out. There was no grouping in my shout out. It was Seglo 3, because she pronounces my lead. And I wouldn't dare to tell her that it's Seglo 3 and not Seglo 3. So we just keep going at Seglo. But I do love it. I do love it. So that was great. And then I think I've mentioned to you guys, certainly over the last few months, that I have taken to meditation. I love it. I am loving the instructors that do the meditations. Each one gives you something different and unique on the platform. And I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago when I was chatting to Daisy Monica on the interview, in what meditation has done, not only for just my inner zen, but also I've taken up yoga, and it's really helped in the yoga. And there's been a new series that's come out on the meditation platform, which has incorporated breath work. So I did a live breath work, and I've never done a live meditation before. And it just so happened that I planned it and did a live breath work meditation with Ross Rayburn on Thursday morning. So that was June the 2nd. And it was a 10-minute breath work. And it was wonderful because it was a different type of meditation to what they do with their, courage or happiness or whatever the other meditations are. It really concentrated on utilizing your breath, and it was great. And it was a milestone. It turned out to be my 300th meditation milestone.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was really I know. I've really been proud of myself.
You really racked up the meditations. Wow.
You know what? Because truthfully, most of them are just 10, 15, 10, 5, 10 minute
shorties.
So often I'll kind of clump them together, and I'll kind of pick an energizing, a happiness, whatever,
stack.
stack, and I stack them.
Yeah.
So they do add up quicker. I made 300 meditations on Thursday. So that was really cool, and it was fun to do it live. They don't do shout outs or anything like that. And in fact, I know there was a comment somebody made about, why are they doing shout outs on yoga milestones? Like, that shouldn't be where you get, but I guess if they do it ahead of time, what's the difference? They're obviously not doing it in the class, but they're doing it perhaps in the pre-show or in the introductory part. So,
I've heard Ross. Yeah. I've heard Ross always shouts me out during the sleep meditations, but I'm always asleep by the time he says me, so I always miss it.
Only you would think of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not a lot to offer you, unfortunately, this week. Next week will actually be much better because I'll have a lot more time on my hands next week as my youngest heads off to the beach for Beach Week after her graduation. So I'll be able to do a lot more and have a lot more time on the platform. So hopefully get that Maddie Majacomo ride I'm hoping to get in. I want to do Christine's Rent ride. So I've got lots. And you know what else I want to do? I didn't do it, and I would have loved to have been able to use that as a pick of the week, was Sam Yo's Silk Sonic ride. I actually jumped on the Instagram Live between him and Cliff. And they did an amazing job. They were wonderful together in the Insta Live. I got to see, I've never worked out with Cliff before, and I want to jump. And even Sam said, he goes, I jumped on your ride. I didn't have a clue as to what you were saying, but I loved your energy, and I loved, obviously, the music, because they both picked, songs from this Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars collaboration with Silk Sonic that we spoke about in the last show. But that's something that I want to do. So my picks of the week may be old, because there'll be ones that I have bookmarked, but hopefully next week we'll have more for you guys. Yeah, John, so I guess that pretty much wraps up this week. I know there was a ton we had to offer you guys, and hopefully you didn't miss us too much and were sat through the whole show this week. We certainly threw a lot out there for you, and John and I love to be able to share our own perspectives and stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. So I guess from me here in Maryland, bye for now, everybody.
Yeah, and for me in Michigan, as always, we will see you on the leaderboard, and in the words of Dennis Morton, be good out there, and if you can't be good, be careful.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag, and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.